This is the Fitzy and Whipper with Kate Ritchie podcast.
Wednesday night, we went to the premiere of Gladiator II.
You don't have to talk like that.
What do you mean?
Because you're not the star of the show. I mean, please let Paul and Fred do it.
Am I sounding desperate?
Can you set this up? Is Paul a young Maximus or?
I can't give too much away about the film, Ryan.
Right. Okay.
I'll tell you there's a connection.
No, the answer's no.
Okay.
But it's not. It's certainly not a different story as such. So there's a connection and a continuation on from Gladiator 1 to Gladiator 2.
It doesn't mean you have to have seen the original.
No, you don't.
But it's worth revisiting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice. You know what I do? It's not out till November 14. I was going to say sit down and watch the two of them together, one after the other. Like movie marathon.
Well, you could if you wait till November 14.
Yeah, you'll have to wait till then. But, it is amazing. Without a doubt, amazing. Paul Mescal, Fred Heckinger, they are the stars of the film. They flew into town. And yesterday, we had the chance to sit down with them to talk about Gladiator II.
Rome has taken everything from me. But I will have my vengeance.
The odds are against you.
The odds are always against me.
Paul Mescal and Fred Heckinger, the stars of Gladiator II. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks very much. Welcome. You
Oh
must
my
have been
God.
wrapped with the turnout last night.
It was wild, wasn't it?
It looked amazing.
Like more people than I probably was expecting. So it was really spectacular.
So you've been in Rome.
Mm-hmm.
And this is bringing it to Australia is kind of the next big showing of the film.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
This last night was our first premiere of the film.
First.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Do you know, it was amazing to see, and I could tell how much you guys loved it when you were on stage having a chat to Ange Bishop beforehand. And Paul, you said, I can't believe this.
It's a weird thing because you kind of you get on a plane in London and you're like, okay, we're going to start in Sydney and we're going all around the world, but it kind of can take you out of the present tense, and then you walk out onto the stage and there's 2,400 people. Like it's just important to remind yourself that it is absolutely mad, this whole experience, and we're only kind of at the precipice of it. So last night was a great start to the tour.
Truly beautiful. Yeah. It's just staggering. You just look around and you
can feel the love.
Making eyes and being like, can you believe this? Can you believe this?
I also think that, and not wanting to go back to, the Gladiator, the film that we know and have loved with Russell, I think that everyone has been so keen here in Australia to see the film come here because we secretly have a little warm spot in our heart for these kind of stories as well. I hope you guys can feel that.
I've made 2 films here, and it ties to the fact that it feels so far away from home, but people have always been so welcoming to me here, to the film, and I think it was what I found really beautiful about last night is the celebration of big style filmmaking and the appetite that an Australian audience have for that kind of film as well.
How long after accepting the role did you hear from Russell? It's Crowe here. So you reckon you can have a shot at the title, do you, mate?
Yeah, the scene at the end of Silence of the Lambs, Anthony Hopkins over the radio.
Absolutely. But it's scarier than him.
Well, you didn't hear from him.
No,
he's being professional.
No, he's been I've seen interviews that he's done. He's been to be fair, absolutely nothing but kind. But also I'm sure Russell knows this as well. It's once you start making a film, the wheels just come off and you go to work and that's your primary focus, and then you go and promote the film. I do have this vague fantasy of in a year or two down the line, having a beer with him in some kind of city somewhere in Europe and just trading stories. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I thought
he's not afraid of a story.
No, not afraid of a beer either. I thought it might have been a case where you get back to your trailer, after they've called cut at the end of the day, and he's just sitting in there.
He's just sitting there petting a cat.
I think you're Gladiator, do you, mate?
Yeah. You got to do this justice.
Do you know what I was fascinated by? And because I'm not in the film industry, believe it or not, I wanted to audition, but I didn't get a chance. But just the size and the scale of it.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, sure there's, technology that can reproduce things, but at the same time, you need mass numbers of people and everybody to organise something like this. That must have been extraordinary to watch the whole production take place.
Yeah.
Ridley built Rome. Him and the production team actually built what felt like a 360 vision of Rome.
Wow.
I mean, everywhere you walked, everywhere you looked, this empire felt alive. It was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people and animals and the dust and, everything you could imagine was around you. It was very immersive.
There were moments when during the filming where Ridley would have had to say to you, you kind of need to trust me here, not only to do with the characters and the storyline, but the vision, because I'm sure a lot of correct me if I'm wrong, what you see on the day is not then what we necessarily see on screen once it's been through a few processes and CGI. Or do you know were there things you had to go, okay, I'm just going to go with it here, and then you've been surprised watching the film yourself?
I think for the most, that's always true of any film, but actually, weirdly, I thought there would be more of that.
Right.
Because we didn't do a lot of blue screen or green screen work, so what we were seeing on the day was pretty much to scale. There's certain instances we didn't actually flood the Colosseum with water because I don't that was never going to be possible.
It's expensive.
But the next best thing,
him fighting on the boats, you did every time.
Every time, yeah.
You did he did it even when it wasn't being filmed
off camera. Any excuse.
Back in 1995.
No. Ridley comes up and he goes, "I'm going to give you the best off-camera action you've ever seen."
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Do you know, it was amazing though because the movie too represents great stories out of Rome. And I don't want to give away everything from the film, but what I was amazed to read was what happens in Gladiator II is quite accurate to what went on in Rome and the Colosseum.
Yeah.
Because it's an extension of the first one.
As in the kind of...
the animals, the action, the theatre.
And I think Ridley's a great example of somebody who will always base it in historical accuracy, but then he knows that he's not making a documentary, he's making a film for entertainment purposes, so he'll kind of dial it up to 100, and I think he's done that to great effect in this film. Because
when I went home last night, I googled a couple of things about the film just for pure interest in being in the moment of the film, and it happened.
Yeah.
And people know what I'm talking about when they see the film, but it actually went on.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's above what I think anybody really knows of common knowledge of the Colosseum.
Yeah, and those battles, Ridley's been thinking about those battles for over 20 years because the baboon fight is a fight that he wanted to put in the first film, and they didn't have the time or the money to do it then. So for over 24 years now, he's been thinking, how do I film this? How do I do it right? And it's just been, so he needed, it was from his gut, he needed to put that on screen.
You didn't get the call up for the first or the second film.
He missed get you an audition.
He's actually very good. Can you just, before we go, can you just do...
the Caesar.
Yeah.
It's from the first one, and it's when the old Caesar is dying.
Here we go.
And he's holding his son, who I think is Joaquin Phoenix at the time, and he goes, "Your faults as a son are my failures as a father."
That's very good.
Oh, your
it's
words,
very
Paul.
Good Richard Harris.
So is it Richard Harris?
That's Richard Harris.
Well, I mean, if we're near Richard Harris, you laugh, but I'm serious. Congratulations on the
well
film.
done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well done, and thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here in Sydney.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Delighted to be here.
Thanks, team.
Fits in Whipper with Kate Ritchie is a Nova podcast. For more great shows like this, download the Nova Player via the App Store or Google Play.
The Nova Player.